Hey guys, I just recorded, like just maybe a couple hours ago or a few hours ago, I'm not sure at this point, a video on respawning by request. And then when I was putting it in a comment to basically say that, hey, I finished the video you asked for, I noticed the person had asked me to cover falling off the map. Oops. I missed that, I guess, when I first read the comment. And so when I was uploading the video, I noticed that one of the suggested videos on the right side panel had a person saying how to handle when a player falls off the map. So I watched it just to kind of see what other people do, because I've never done it before. I've never handled falling off of a map, because the games that I've made aren't platformers, and I can't think of another situation where falling off the map is a thing. I guess, well, no, I guess that's not true. I guess you could fall off a cliff, or something like that. But my method here should work and apply to all. So, uh, everything I had in the previous respawn tutorial exists. So if you haven't watched that, watch that. So if I click play here, you're going to see that if I go here and I die, it goes away. But when he respawns, it parents the camera back to the guy. And this is from the previous video. So I'm going to show you, if you watched that one, we're going to open this up real quick. So yeah, and we're going to edit the camera stuff out. Because if we're doing a platformer game, we don't want the camera to go with us. Now if you still are doing like a 3D game, you'll want the camera to go with you. But if you just want to catch if the player falls off the map and put them back, then the code here, I'll leave it up for just a second, is all you want. Again, if you haven't watched the previous video, you should definitely watch it, because I discussed a couple of things. So when the player hits the death trap, they're going to die, they're going to come back. So we'll just, real quick, demonstrate that, now the camera is not going to go with the player. They die, and they're respawn. Okay? However, if we fall off the map, we're gone forever. So here's what we're going to do instead. In a situation like this, it's going to be totally fine to do game object, create cube, bring it down, and then we're going to turn off the mesh renderer, and we're going to scale the box collider. Let's see here. X is what? The red one. Scale this one. Huge. If you just have a full level, and this is going to be where the bottom of your screen is, or if you just want them to be like when you're falling out of screen, you can take this and you can actually parent it to the main camera. And now if you move the camera up, your box, basically how far they can fall from view is going to stick to the camera. Alright. Now what you're going to want to do is this cube, you're just going to say, maybe call this fall threshold, and grab the death trap script, oopsies, fall threshold, and put the death trap script. Now if the player hits this, it's going to trigger the collider and respawn him. Watch. Oh, I was waiting. I thought something locked up. First of all, make sure it's trigger. There we go. Boop. They've died. And now they're back. Okay? It's the exact same code here. Trigger. And they come back. Now you're probably thinking like, what? You can't scale it up that big? That's crazy. Well, why not? The engine's going to handle vertice to vertice. So there's a vertice over here. Let's bring it back down to 1. Maybe call it 2. So the render is going to say there's a point here, and there's a point here, and then it's going to check if anything intersects between those 2 points, then trigger the trigger. So as long as things aren't constantly touching this, it's not going to cause any kind of performance just by sitting here and existing huge. Okay? and you can have multiple of these. You could put maybe at different heights depending on how your map goes, but really for a platformer, if you just parent this to the camera and then maybe parent that to your player. Nope, nope. Do not parent it to your player. Because then the player would never reach the fall threshold. So anyway, experiment with that. And yeah, there you go. If this is in a 3D game, you could do the same thing. Let's kick it off of 3D or 2D. This is a 3D game. Hello. Then that also works. Okay, if you just have some big. It's not. I promise it's not performance. It's not going to kill anything by being like this. I promise. And if I click play at this point, I follow this direction, you can see that I was turned off, and now I'm back. Okay. So it doesn't matter. It's just super simple. It's just this one script, and you can use it for everything. And if you pull this apart, and maybe have this can be called by your player having no health. So instead of having Death Trap do this, Death Trap can just reduce the player's health to 0, and then have some other kind of thing that says if the player's health is 0, then respawn them. And then it's completely universal. You have one script that handles respawning in every situation, whether or not some other player killed them, whether they hit a trap, whether they fell off the map. It would all just be this right here. This 30 lines of code will cover every single respawn situation in your entire game, especially if you have multiple respawn locations. If you have enemy locations or, whatever, maybe trap locations or player locations, whatever that's going to be, you can create a bunch of different variables to the top here, and then maybe use some enums at some point in time to dictate which respawn location you're going to use, however you want to use it, or just pass in the location in the variable into the respawn coroutine. You know what I mean? So you could just say vector3 location, and instead of saying respawn location, just do your location, and then you can just pass it right in, and it's even more universal than it was before, because you can give it anything. And after the time goes up, it will put the position that was being respawned at that location. So anyway, there's my ramblings. There's a video. Hopefully this now covered the question. You can now die and respawn in every way possible. And if you want to get really creative, put one on the ceiling so if you jump too high, you die.